And that's where we should start, because regulatory compliance these are all things that are obligatory. They're mandatory. These are things that you have to do. So if you are in a regulated space, whatever that space is, assuming that it's a regulated area, whether that is government contracting, whether that's healthcare, where you have the HIPAA, very well-known standard, you have to abide by that. In the financial sector, depending on what you're doing, there is a ton of different things. Again, in the financial sector, depending on what you're doing specifically, there's a ton of different regulations that you may fall under. Depending on what state you're in, there are specific regulatory things that you fall under. So in our case, oftentimes when we will onboard a client, we will start off with what are the compliance standards you follow. It's one of the first questions we typically like to ask once the solution engineers are involved with the prospect. The reason for that is you, by default, know the groups of controls that need to fall into it. So that's really the regulatory side of this is also evolving. Because we're in that fourth industrial revolution, which I'm going to reference one more time, you see more and more legislation that's passing, that's advancing and refining some of those regulatory compliance requirements. Because the world out there really is a battlefield. It's a digital battlefield. If you look at the current just geopolitical climate, it's, the one of the battlefields is our technology and how it could be affected, exploited, to inflict ultimate damage to your enemy. Whether that's through economic, what's the word that I'm looking for, Niko? Sabotage. Whether that's through economic sabotage, whether that's through just flat out leaking information, compromising information, or finding classified information. Again, some of the regulation that we're used to is consumer protection, right? In the case of HIPAA, it is protecting the private information of somebody in a medical setting.